final score: Wrexham 3, Dover Athletic 1. Oh, we needed that, and it was hard fought, but we got there. I'll say straight away, before anything else, that Dover, coming into this game and having scouted them and looked at a few of their recent matches, don't look to have been playing as well as they did in that match. I mean, Dover, to be fair to them, really pulled out a good performance, and they made us work for it. We weren't certain until that 95th minute penalty, but it was a big win for Wrexham, and there was a bit more balance about the team, and there was something about it that looked pretty good. There were 3 changes from the side that last played about 16 years ago at Stockport. Sean Pearson was out of the squad. Interestingly, James Horsfield came in as a central defensive option. So he was on the right side of the defensive 3, and he did very well. And of course, he's comfortable bringing the ball out at his feet, and the back 3 did look quite balanced, to be fair. Elsewhere, Adi Yusuf was starting up front rather than Kwame Thomas, and Dan Jarvis made his first league start of the season ahead of Elliot Durrell, and the 3 of them did well. The side, well, we set out the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, we looked very good indeed, and should have been ahead, and sadly that's a bit of a repetitious story from this season, isn't it? 10th minute, definitely should have taken the lead. Good free kick from midfield by Luke Young. Vassell attacking it, 6 yards out, lost his man, was all on his own. Well, either was a fraction short of reaching it, or, and I think this might be more the case, just misjudged his header as he put his head in and missed the ball. Hell of a chance. 5 minutes later, we got the ball in the net, and it was disallowed, and it was an interesting call. There were a few decisions that the referee Peter Gibbons made that mystified both sides. This one, well, Hall Johnson was now starting to get into the game and would be outstanding. He burst down the right hand side, took on the centre back Ransom, just got a bit too much on the ball, and Ransom looked to run it behind for a goal kick. But Hall Johnson wasn't willing to give up, so he slid in from behind him. And, well, okay, I think 50-50 call, to be fair. Certainly won the ball, hooked it back, and Jarvis, in a great position ahead of the strikers, knocked it into the net. Referee judged Hall Johnson to have fouled Ransom. I think it's one you've got to have a look at again to see if he's right or not. I think there may well have been some contact, but whether it was enough to be a foul is a different question. A couple of minutes later, Wrexham again coming incredibly close. It's starting to become something of an issue that so many people desperate to see Jordan Ponticelli score. He's playing well. He's brought in as a goal scorer, but he just can't find the back of the net. Well, he went super close this time. It was, again, Hall Johnson, after intelligent play by Yusuf. The ball was hit down the right-hand side by Horsfield. Lovely pass. Yusuf was offside and realised it, so stopped chasing it and allowed Hall Johnson to accelerate past him and come onto the ball. Hall Johnson hit the byline. He had 2 men in the middle, but then Jarvis made a nice late run across the edge of the area, and he spotted him, pulled it back Ponticelli. He pulled it back perfectly for Ponticelli, and Ponticelli drilled it from 18 yards out. A great strike, beat the keeper, but a defender had managed to get back on the line and cleared it. Excellent piece of defending, and cruel luck for Ponticelli that he wasn't able to score. Next opportunity was Jay Harris making his 200th league match appearance for Wrexham and looking very impressive. A snapshot from 25 yards, a hell of a hit. Unluckily for Wrexham, it was straight down the middle, and Mercy and the keeper was able to hold on to it. But he wasn't able to do anything when Wrexham took the lead in the 31st minute. Now, it was a super goal by Hall Johnson, and also some very poor defending by Dover. So I'll just stop that scratching noise by letting my cat come in, because to be honest, he's making a racket, isn't he? All right, boss. So basically, Hall Johnson exchanged passes of Harris on the right-hand side and then started to run at the left wing back Wood. He beat him and came inside, running across the edge of the box. He was on his left foot. It was sort of looking good for the left-footed shot, but I rather suspected he thought, well, I'm a weaker foot. I shouldn't really pull the trigger. I should look for someone. But the point is that Dover just kept backing off, allowing him a size of goal. And in the end, I think they'd invited him to such an extent he thought, I'll hit it. And he hit it well. He pulled it with his left foot, drilled it with power into the bottom right corner. A fine goal and a fine reward for a player who was the outstanding player in the match. And Wrexham had the lead. Now, Dover responded well to this. And 2 minutes later, very nearly equalised. Wood, the left wing back, drilling a ball down the flank over the top. The striker, Rose, who looked lively all game, attacked it. Lainton came out the box to try and make as he had to, and he couldn't quite get there ahead of Rose, who had a lovely first touch to get round Lainton, and then from the corner of the box drilled it towards the open goal. But fantastically for Wrexham, Vassell was able to accelerate across and make an excellent clearance. I don't want to give you the impression by saying that was, by mentioning Dover's attack for the first time there, that they weren't in the game. Like I said at the start, they played well. They tried to make things compact. Their back line was quite high, and it was congested in midfield. I've got to say, I wonder whether that was in response to the game on Tuesday. They did very well on Tuesday. They had a lot of players out injured and drew with Boreham Wood coming back from behind to get a point. And Boreham Wood had been on a run of 4 wins in a row. But the goal they let in was too simple. Boreham Wood just passed it. It was 2 passes straight through the middle of them. And I just think maybe the way Dover set themselves up at the start was partly a response to that. They really congested midfield by having the back line high, and it was difficult for Wrexham to pass their way through. Having said that, they had no great cutting edge up front. And Munns, who was drifting around behind the front two, was looking dangerous and prompting, but they weren't really getting shots off. And as you'll see by the end of this, that effort that was cleared off the line actually was the only noteworthy effort they had in open play. But Munns was also excellent on set pieces, so Dover had quite a bit of the ball in the opening half hour, without threatening all that much. Without, oh look, cats, I'm being invaded by a large cat. Come here, Kelleher. Good boy. There he is. Right. So basically, they had quite a bit of the ball in Wrexham's half. Didn't really threaten to break Wrexham's defence down. In fact, the defence looked very good. Munns' set piece delivery, though, was causing issues and would continue to do so. So Dover was certainly in the match, but Wrexham pushed on, had one last chance at the half. Again, fabulous play by Hall Johnson, who burst past Wood, wonderful run, hit the goal line, slung in a vicious cross towards the far post. Jordan Davis did ever so well to meet it, because when it was coming in, he was quite a long way out from goal and managed to accelerate and get in front of his man, but he couldn't meet it in a way which allowed him to steer it towards goal. Good effort by Davis, but from close in he just couldn't get a proper contact on it. And then Wrexham were punished. 2 minutes left of the half. Harris gave away a free kick. He was livid about it. You could hear him really screeching at the referee, and it was a hell of a long piece of dissent. I don't know why the referee was so patient. He bucked Harris. It looked like a foul from behind to me, and the free kick leveled the edge of the area. Munns put it in with terrific quality. Now Rose, throughout the game, the big target man, was making runs across the defensive line from set pieces to try and drag people out of the way. On this occasion, Munns actually played it in for him as he made that run, and it was an excellent header by him. He's about 15 yards out and running across the path of the ball, so it's got to be a sort of glancing contact, you think. But he managed to get enough contact to put good power on it, and it went into the top corner. Defender lunged at it and could only head it into the roof of the net, had no chance of stopping it. And Dover, a real sucker punch, because Wrexham did look comfortable and ought to have been ahead at the break, but they weren't. I remember Wrexham's home game against Altrincham, where we dominated, let it go in at the end of the half, and then the second half was very, very disappointing. Well, not so this time. This time Wrexham came out strongly and were unlucky again. A good break down the right-hand side once more. Not only was Hull Johnson tearing down there, but Yusuf was really working that right channel. And we were really doing well, stretching Dover by feeding those balls in behind the wing-back. So we were causing issues for them. On this occasion, the ball came in. Young attacked it on the edge of the area. He was unlucky. It just wouldn't sit down for him for a shot. But when it came back out to Ponticelli, he drilled a 25-yarder, but it was too straight. And again, the team was able to make an easy save. And then Dover came up the other end and started to show threat with some set pieces, including when set pieces broke down. A corner by Munns was cleared, came back out to him on the flank. He swung the super ball back into the far post. His free kick, beg your pardon. And Ransom, the centre-back, somehow managed to lose his man. We looked a bit absent in the middle of the box, drawn towards the near post. And 6 yards out on the corner of the 6-yard box, well, he volleyed comfortably over. It was a decent chance for him. And also, it was a good chance if he just cushioned it back as Dover players were trying to attack the 6-yard box. So, a bit of a let-off for Wrexham. And about 10 minutes later, Ransom had another go. This one was spectacular. The free kick again played in by Munns. Wrexham only partially cleared it. And Ransom, on his way back out, managed to take a lovely first touch just to dink it up. And as it came down, hit a hell of a half volley from about 25 yards. Whistled past the right post. Langton didn't really move. It was a terrific strike. But Wrexham bounced straight back. Within a minute, we were ahead again. A corner this time, swung in and partly cleared. And for me, this is all down to the Dover keeper. Again, a poor goal for them to concede. Mercy, the keeper at that point, really, I think, needed to push his defence out and clear the box as much as he could. Harris, chasing the ball, had to hit it on the bounce, had no chance, really, of picking somebody out. He just did what he had to do in that situation. He just hooked it back into the danger area. But because that defensive line was so deep, that meant that when Harris put it into the edge of the 6-yard box, rather than Mercy be able to come out and claim it, he had players right in front of him on his toes. He didn't come out to attack it either, which maybe he should have done. And Kelleher jumped with his marker, got a flick on, did very well to do so, and Mercy just reacted way too late. And Kelleher got his first Wrexham goal. Wrexham ahead, and at that point it looked like they were really going to put their foot on Dover's throat. And like after Wrexham's first goal, Dover found it hard to respond, and Wrexham started making chances, breaking and causing problems. Yusuf driving down the right, drilling in across it in the post. This half clears. Yusuf managed to pick the ball back up again on the edge of the area, span his man, and drove a powerful shot, which Mercy in full stretch pushed around the post. From my angle, I think it was probably just going wide, but the keeper couldn't afford to take that chance. That corner led to a big scramble. At one point, Ponticelli was very close to goal. The ball's kneeling down and the ball seemed to be hit against him. What a typical way that would be for him to break his drought. But it ricocheted the wrong way and it went out in the end for another corner. But Wrexham was starting to pile it on. Jordan Davis with a terrific diagonal out to the right-hand side to Ponticelli. He teed up Young 20 yards out and he made good contact with the ball. Mercy, leaping high to his right, did really well to hold on to it. And then Jarvis, with a good pass, put Ponticelli one-on-one with the keeper. Mercy did ever so well. It was a lovely ball by Jarvis, but Ponticelli really had to accelerate to get there ahead of the keeper. He only got there about a stride ahead of the goalie, and the goalie who committed himself managed to get out and get a block on it. The ball span out to the wing, and Yusuf, presented with an open goal, but from a very, very tricky wide position, hit it first time, and it just shaved the left post of the open goal. Unlucky. Now, during this time, in the last 10 minutes, Dover, again, were putting on pressure. Bizarrely, unless he was injured, they took Munns off halfway through the second half. Now, for me, Munns was the main source of threat for them. He was the main person getting balls into the strikers. And also, like I said, his set pieces were excellent. Dover, in the last 10 minutes, won a lot of corners, but Munns wasn't there and the delivery wasn't quite there as a result. So they weren't able to quite cause the problems that they had been doing. Still, though, they threw on attacking players and they did give it a good go, but Wrexham's defence held firm. And then, in the 5th minute of added time, got the 3rd goal. It was basically due to Dover overcommitting and also due to sloppiness from Mercy, who didn't have the happiest of games, really. Wrexham cleared the ball down the right-hand side. By this point, Wrexham made 2 time-wasting injury time substitutions. Paul Rutherford and Kwame Thomas coming on for Dan Jarvis and Adi Yusuf. Thomas chased it. He had no chance of getting there first as Mercy came long way out of his goal into the left-back position to deal with it. But then he didn't deal with it. He let the ball under his foot. Thomas acted with pace and quick thinking, drove after it, and managed to out-accelerate the goalkeeper and get goal side of him. So again, Thomas, from a very tight angle, but in the box, running towards an open goal. Mercy, the only person who can stop him, rugby tackled him. A blatant penalty, and surprisingly, only a yellow card for Mercy, because, I mean, well, we know the rules now, don't we? If it's a penalty given away by an attempted tackle, then you can give a yellow for it, but if it's a penalty given away by a pullback when it's a clear goal scoring opportunity, it can still be a red. And, I mean, if Mercy hadn't done that to Thomas, although it was a tight angle, would have just walked it into an empty net. So the referee generous, Mercy stayed on the pitch with the penalty, and it made no difference. Luke Young sent him the wrong way, and Wrexham had a 3-1 win. And it was, like I said, a good performance, not least because Dover frankly, looked much more coherent than in the games I've seen him in this season. Laneton had very little to do. Like I said, there was only really one effort from open play, apart from the and then set pieces. He had no chance of the goal and did well coming out to deal with balls in from set pieces in a crowded penalty area. The back three was solid. Kelleher made one superb tackle in the second half when he looked under pressure, and there was another incident which he dealt with very well. Both sides were pushing up a bit. Dover maybe a bit more so, and both sides had pace up front. And Wrexham in the first half particularly were troubling Dover by knocking the ball over the top of their high line for the pace of Ponticelli and Yusuf. There was one incident where de Havilland, the centre-back, who's a stopper, he's a decent centre-back I think, but he's not quick, ought to have had the situation under control when the ball was knocked over him, but Ponticelli made up 10 yards on him in a couple of seconds, and he was in all sorts of trouble and only just about managed to deal with it and hook the ball away. Kelleher found himself in a situation quite similar to that with Rose, and he dealt with it superbly. So very impressive. Vassell was excellent at left-sided centre-back, quite apart from that clearance off the line. His pace often came in very, very useful. He did ever so well. And Horsfield is the other side as well. You know, he's a good, tidy player, isn't he? He can do any job. And again, he was canny and solid in the right-sided centre-back position. It was interesting to see that. I mean, I've been wondering whether Wrexham would do something like that with Record, using Record as a left-sided centre-back, as now Jordan Davis looks to be established for a run at left wing-back. But certainly it was interesting to see how well-balanced our defence looked like when we had two mobile centre-backs either side of a stopper. When we play Pearson and Kelleher together, of course, we have two stoppers in there. So that was interesting to see. The wing-backs, Hall Johnson, utterly outstanding, did well defensively, magnificent going forwards, our most dangerous player, non-stop. I mean, he was terrific. Hats off to him. Just a consummate right wing-back performance. So good that it overshadowed Jordan Davis, who put in a very good performance at left wing-back. What really pleased me is that we haven't yet really seen a lot of whether he can play as a left-back, if you will. He's never played as a left-back for us. And when he plays left wing-back, and you know, okay, he got beaten a lot at Stockport, but I think to be fair, that was because he was being left exposed. But no, he looked good and solid defensively and used the ball well too. That was good stuff from Davis. In midfield, Harris, his best game this season, I would think so. From the very start, he was at it, he was winning tackles, he was driving the ball forward, he won so many headers that he had no right to win. He did give away the free kick for the goal, which seemed unnecessary. He had a couple of good efforts in, and he actually ended up with 2 assists. Although admittedly, one was a short pass to Hall Johnson, and the other one was a hopeful hook into the box, but it was the right thing to do. So yeah, good performance from the skipper. Luke Young, again, busy as ever, goal threat in the second half too. Snapped him with a lot of good tackles. A little lucky to come out with only a yellow perhaps. He really nailed a Dover man, I think it was Aziz if I remember correctly, on the left touchline in about halfway through the second half, and I was astounded the ref didn't give a yellow for it. And then later on he went in with another very hard tackle and did get booked. It was a definite yellow. It wasn't as bad as his first challenge though, so maybe a little bit unfortunate there, but he did do well. Jarvis again, I mean a lot of people have been calling for Jarvis to be given the chance, and there we are, playing in his favoured position really, behind the strikers, pushing up from midfield. Yeah, he was creative, it was good to see. I want to see him playing against a side from higher up the table in that role, because he really used the ball intelligently, popped the ball around nicely, and it was good to see, and was unlucky not to score too. And then up front, Ponticelli again impressed. Poor bloke can't buy a goal, but his movement and his energy was excellent. He troubled the centre-backs with his pace. And Yusuf, again, best game he's had for Wrexham, no question. He worked so hard up and down the right channel. He pinned the centre-backs and was rolling them and getting shots off. He really did impress, and he was battling, because without Thomas he was the target, and he's not obviously as good as Thomas in the air, but he was backing in and troubling the centre-backs and making the ball stick quite a bit. It was impressive. So we've seen a few things from players there that we haven't yet seen this season, and you sort of wonder whether this is a template to push on with. Jarvis definitely deserves a bit of a run, I think, after that performance. Yusuf and Ponticelli, that's the first time they've started together for Wrexham. They gelled really, really well. And interesting to see whether Horsfield, as one of the two side centre-backs, having them both able to bring the ball out confidently might be something we persevere with. It was promising, very, very good. So let's hope we've given ourselves something to build on. If you're watching it on the video, by the way, if you look down the bottom, you'll see I had a little accent. My laptop is really giving me a nightmare the last month or so. So that little writing thing scrolling across the bottom, it's not supposed to be there. It just jumped there. I'm so funny. Sorry, I'm so funny. I'm so sorry. So sorry about that. Anyway, remember, if you're watching on YouTube or anything on YouTube, please subscribe to us, like our videos, click the little bell for notifications. If you're on the podcast, come on guys, stick on reviews, give us a follow on whatever podcast app you use, and everything that happens, any money we raise, it will go straight back into the club. So give us a backup and we can give you a few exclusive tales of the club, I'm sure. I'm starting to waffle now. Look, just subscribe and we're all fine, aren't we? Okie dokie. The final score, Wrexham 3, Dover Athletic 1. Wrexham's first ever home win against Dover. First time he scored more than 1 goal against Dover. I'm Mark Griffiths, the Wrexham AFC media team. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe as well so you don't miss out on any of our content, and click the bell to get notifications.